Hey there guys, Conceptual Concept 6.9 here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, and today I'm starting a new series. That series is going to be on a really cool, innovative product that's been out for a few years now, but I finally got my hands on it. That product is the FLUX Raider. The FLUX Raider is a chassis system that uses the fire control unit and slide, barrel, all the upper components to a SIG 320. Cool part about this is that it is ridiculously small and light, but there are some concerns, some things I haven't seen addressed in the dozens of YouTube videos out on this so far that I'm going to address in future videos. Today's video is going to be more of a overview of the system. In the future, I plan to have a couple more videos out as well. One being whether this is a viable option for if you just want one pistol and one defensive carbine, if you will, whether you can switch the chassis versus the pistol module back and forth and be pretty well set up. One's going to be on something that I've heard in multiple videos, but I've never seen anyone actually do any testing on, which is the Wandering Zero, and how bad is it? Arguably, I would say it's probably the best out of the pistol chassis systems, but regardless, the optic is mounted to the polymer, not to the slide, and the way the barrel locks up to the slide, mounting the optic on the slide is going to be the most consistent way to hold a zero. So we'll see how bad the fluctuation is on this. I'll remove the slide, do a bunch of other stuff. That'll be its own separate video. Then lastly, we're probably going to do a video on comparing the MP5K versus a pistol versus this, where this fits between those three options, right? So that's what I have planned in the future for this. This video overall is just going to be going over the features, how I have mine set up, and overall thoughts. All right, so now with all that being said, let's go over the features of the FLUX Raider, how I have mine set up, and let's do some shooting as well. All right, so this was zeroed at 100 yards as of last week. Let's see how she does now. See if it's wandered any. Safety's off. There we go, 12-inch gong. It's pretty repeatable. Let's see if we can hit that 8-inch gong there. So it seems to be doing pretty well so far. That's the 8-inch gong I've hit twice in a row now. 3 times in a row. And I missed that last one, which could just be the accuracy potential out of this. But it definitely does seem to give you a little bit of an advantage at range versus a handgun. So how I funded this project was I got my Palmetto AK-102 back from warranty, and I immediately sold that bugger. In my opinion, it's just going to be a hard pass. Palmetto did some work on it. They reamed out the chamber. They replaced the bolt because the bolt was showing premature signs of wear, and they tightened the gas tube lever. Past that, they said it was running fine. I believe them for the most part, but I sold that immediately because not worth investing any more time in. And enough commenters have said they've had issues as well that I'm just gonna say it's gonna be a hard pass. So don't expect future videos on that because, hate to say it, it's just gonna be a non-recommend compared to other options available, which really sucks because I like the AK-102 quite a bit, the real gun. And I was really hoping the Palmetto would be good. But that's how I funded this project. So I immediately bought the FLUX Raider chassis as soon as I got the email saying it was back in stock. Get on that email list, and they are shipping fairly regularly. They were out of stock for 2 days before this came back in stock and I was able to buy it. And during that time, I was like, shit, I don't have a P320 because it's a P320. So I went scouring through local gun shops. I found one for dirt cheap, this Sig Legion compact carry system, which I bought the full pistol for $450. What was cool about it, and what also sucks, is that gun store had not been able to sell it in forever, so they dropped the price down significantly just to try and get it off the shelf, which their loss is my gain. But this guy already had a Apex trigger installed in it, and it had a muzzle device. If one of you knows what the symbol for this muzzle device is, I'll go ahead and post it in the video here. Let me know who makes this, because I have no idea. It just came on the pistol, and it's been working pretty good overall. But Sig Legion upper, Apex trigger, Flux Raider chassis, and then past that, because my goal is to have something much more concealable and small bag friendly than my MP5K, I chose to put a TLR7 on here because it fits pretty flush with the chassis, won't expand the size overall. And I put a Holosun 403R on here because I'm not anticipating using any night vision with this system at all. This is a very small bag gun. I'll probably put it in a sling bag if it ends up working really well for me. And I'll probably never have night vision when I need this, right? So it's just set up for white light. Holosuns are really rugged, reliable red dots. We've all learned that at this point. The only place that the 403R is lacking is night vision capability, and as I said, that's not a priority with this. So let's hit the range. Let's go ahead and go over the features there, and then we'll go over how it shoots, how I like it, overall thoughts. And then we'll see you for the next video, which is either going to be whether this is a good one gun, one serial number solution for most civilians, where you have the chassis system for more of a rifle system and the pistol system more for carry. So let's go over some of the features of the Raider X. One of the big features that it's not only known for but touted about is this expanding brace, the quick release brace, if you will. Pretty neat feature, especially if you're having to draw it out and deploy it quickly. It'll save you about a second and a half versus unfolding a stock or something similar. So pretty neat there. It's got 3 magazine releases. Personally, I've got about 400 rounds through this so far, and there are a couple things I really don't enjoy about it. So let's get into the first one. This is the standard, actual feeding magazine release right there. And so you push it forward. The second one, and this is where I wish they'd change it, because this isn't suiting the left-handed guys any better than the right-handed guys. But there's this magazine release, and you'd think it would release this front magazine. No, it releases the feeding magazine as well. I wish this released the front magazine just so you had a little easier control releasing it under stress. Like if you're trying to top off, let's say you do something like a tactical reload. I would rather this drop this magazine so you have more control over it, because the last magazine release is the only thing that controls this front magazine here. It's a progressive magazine release, so if you only press it lightly, it will only release this one. But if you press it all the way, it releases both. So I really don't personally like this progressive magazine release. I would rather this just drop both. And this one right here, I would rather drop this for tactical or reloads with retention. Just because this I have a little less control over, and under stress I could easily drop both, which kind of kills the purpose. I think that this could very easily solve that problem, but again, that's just my gripe. Doesn't mean it's worth much. It does have a safety. It is loosening over time, but it's still pretty stiff for a manual safety. I find myself having to consciously feel that very tactile click, but consciously feel that click to get it to go off. And with SIG 320s, personally, I want the safety no matter what. I know that they say they fixed their drop safe problem, but they're still getting sued and losing lawsuits due to it. Most recent one that I know of was in Philadelphia. A guy was just awarded $11 million for a gun going off in a holster. Whether that was his fault or whether it just wasn't a safe gun still, they're still getting sued for it. And personally, I like that extra reassurance. Past that, you do have a couple ways to drop the slide when it's locked back. Now that's an empty magazine. You can rack the slide, which is what most people tend to do. I'm finding myself using more like a 1911 and dropping the slide with my support hand thumb before I reach forward. For me, especially since I don't have a charging handle on this, because I'm trying to keep it as slick as possible, I find that this keeps my hand out from in front of the muzzle and keeps me from injuring myself. So there's that. All right, so let's go ahead and try one reload one on that left-hand target. Just see how we do. Not great, 416. Not finding myself shooting this or reloading this much faster. Let's try one more time, see if we speed it up a little bit. .333. And again, if you actually practice, you might be able to do this a lot faster than me. One more time. See, that's what I'm talking about with that reload. I'm not a huge fan of the progressive magazine release, but you know, that's also user error. So get good with it, practice a lot. I don't have a ton of rounds through this so far. Let's do one more since that was goobered, and then we'll switch to a bill drill. .450. Yeah, you could definitely get a lot better with this, but personally, that progressive reload, I'd rather it just drop both magazines. Just my preference. You know, take it for what you will. All right, we're about 10 yards from both those targets, probably closer to 15 from the one on the right. Let's see how we do here. So what do I think about the FLUX Raider chassis so far overall? I think it's pretty neat. So far it's holding up pretty good. The accuracy has been, I mean, about what I'd expect out of a pistol. It's about 2.5 to 3 inches at 25 yards or 10 to 12 inches at 100. As you saw earlier, I was hitting an 8-inch gong with about 80% reliability, which is 100% within the cone of deviation of this gun, and I zeroed it last week. So I'm not seeing any deviation, any wandering zero yet. However, I'm gonna do testing on that in the future where I pull the slide off, put it back on a few times, shoot it on a pistol, put it back on, and see if the zero changes. We'll just find out. We'll get a little bit of definitive answers because I haven't seen anyone post that yet. Now, I do want it to be noted when I do, that will be for this slide and this FLUX Raider. Could vary with yours. You could have a tighter fitting slide, a tighter fitting FLUX Raider, but it'll give us a little more information to work off of than we have right now. But as of right now, I think it's pretty neat. I'm enjoying it. It's got a few quirks. The manual of arms is definitely different from anything I've shot before, so I'm kind of trying to learn around that. But past that, don't forget to go outside, enjoy nature's beauty, and eat that booty. All right, guys?